in terms of CO2, but it has to be a tight system to do that. So we're very aware of that. The environmental community is very focused on that, and but I think it's a challenge that's able to be met if everybody is putting their focus in the right direction.
Other questions?
Hi there, Yaron Bauman from Carbon Washington and Sightline. There's been some talk, I think, from Del Morris Brookings Institution and others about what she calls a SIP swap, about allowing states to meet their 111D requirements by imposing some sort of carbon price. And I'm wondering, without going into details about what may or may not be in the regulations, can you just give us a sense about how that, how might that look in terms of, for example, as I understand it, the regs are specifically about electricity, but if you have a cap or a carbon price that covers the whole economy, then maybe your carbon reductions are coming somewhere else. So is there any way that you can give us a sense of how that might look with connecting up the regs and the state implementation plans with the possibility of state level carbon pricing?
No. So it's a great question, though, and I think that one of the things we heard in our listening sessions was those kinds of issues, and so I can't go into the details because it would give up too much at this point, but we are looking at trying to create incentives for multi-state collaboration, and the cross-sector is a more difficult issue, but certainly the cross-state issue is one that we hope can be addressed with what we're going forward with. So I gave you a few hints there without disclosing anything.
All right, we have time for a couple more questions.
I've got a big voice. I'll just
All right.
say it out loud. I'm curious to know for your, and I'm sorry, I'm Matthew Curry, South Lake Union Chamber. I'm curious to know if your equivalent Region 9 administrator, director, which is California, Nevada, Arizona, I believe, does that district or regional administrator have a separate set of concerns from you, or what would you say are that person's top priorities in comparison to those of our region?
Well, I would say our two regions are more similar than any of the other regions around the country because we do have tribes, we do have a lot of water issues, we share coastlines, we do have a lot of the same issues. They do have, particularly in relation to climate change, more population. They have very large power plants, very large coal-fired power plants that are not in agreements to scale back or scale down. Four Corners and others. So they're a little bit different in terms of some of the particular issues, but overall, we do a lot of work back and forth. One of the things I didn't mention today is we have a forum that we convene jointly between Region 9 and Region 10 that brings together city and county governments along with state governments to share sustainability work that they're doing, everything from waste reduction work and food recovery work to reduce methane from landfills by stopping it at the source. And those are very robust forums where we bring literally hundreds of cities up and down the West Coast together to talk about their challenges, their successes, to bring our EPA tools to the table so they can measure their progress and so on. And so we work back and forth between Region 9 and 10 and Region 8 a fair amount as well because they share some of the same issues, which is the Rocky Mountain West.
One more question? All right, last one. You get two. Does anybody else want to go before I give him another one? Yeah.
Dennis, thanks for being here, being so brave to be here shortly before this announcement, and for your many years of work on this and other topics in the region. I'll ask a similar question to my last one, maybe from a federal perspective, and that is, how much of what we're going to do going forward will be reducing our carbon footprint, and how much of it will be greater sequestration of carbon?
Or carbon capture.
So we certainly know that there are carbon sequestration applications that are in place now. Some of those actually result in more carbon because although ultimately the carbon reduction has to be there, it's enhanced oil recovery. We see CO2 being pumped into the ground to enhance oil recovery in Oklahoma and Texas and places of that sort. And there are some innovators trying to figure out ways to make that a much more significant net positive in terms of climate reduction. On the coal-fired power plant sector, there are demonstration projects, full-scale demonstration projects that are out there. There's a debate back and forth about whether that's economic or not. I think, again, you have to have the right geology, you have to have the right circumstances for that to be available, but we build pipelines, and so pipelines to pipe CO2 and sequester it are I've seen a number of presentations and demonstrations on that. It all comes down to whether it's economically viable or not, and I think what we're seeing right now is some of the other solutions, renewables and so on, are more economically viable than carbon capture and sequestration and the construction of new coal-fired generation. And part of that is that natural gas is cheap and available, and part of it is that renewables have become competitive, and we have renewable portfolio standards in a number of states around the country.
Great. Well, I want to thank Dennis, I want to thank Ashley, and I want to thank all of you for a great conversation. So please join me in showing. So I just want to take a few moments here at the end and begin by thanking some of my colleagues on the board of the Washington Clean Tech Alliance. So just a quick show of hands here. Kurt Kirkeby from Avista, Steve Gerritsen from the Economic Development Council, Rick Locke, is he still here? No, he went to pick up his son from the Department of Commerce, Russ Weed from Uni Energy, and Craig Cusa from formerly from 3Tier and now out on his own. And so I thank all of you for helping serve on the board of the Washington Clean Tech Alliance. I also want to, we had a little sneak preview from one of our speakers next time. Yoram Bauman here will be talking to us about carbon tax at our next luncheon on June 9th. And then Ross McFarlane is also in the room, who will be addressing us on the Cap and Trade luncheon on June 30th. So very pleased to have you guys here and kind of keep the continuity going on this conversation. I want to, the Washington Clean Tech Alliance is very ably led by our president and CEO, Tom Rankin. So Tom, take a shout out. Sharon really does all the work. So where's Sharon? She's like, oh, there she is in the back. So thank you, Sharon, for all your work. And we have a really cool thing happening on June 23rd, which is our Clean Tech Showcase. I think this very much aligns with some of the things that Keith was talking about, which is how do we use this transition to a low-carbon economy to drive economic development in the state. And it turns out there are a bunch of companies here that are working on that and building really cool stuff. So if you don't have it on your calendar, check out, come to the Washington Clean Tech Alliance website and check out our Clean Tech Showcase on June 23rd. A bunch of cool companies, including mine, One Energy Systems, Russ Weeds, Uni Energy Technologies, and several other members of the Clean Tech Alliance. So make sure you get that on your calendar. So I was remiss in my opening remarks in not recognizing and thanking our co-sponsor for this event, which is the Greater Seattle Chamber of Commerce. And so to come and embarrass me is Markham McIntyre, who worked very closely and helped pull this program together. So I want to give Markham the last word, but it's been a great partnership and we've really appreciated working with you.
I won't embarrass him, but I do just want to address kind of quickly why the Chamber of Commerce is involved in this. I don't think people would normally associate a chamber with an event such as this or kind of a partnership like we've developed. But believe it or not, the Chamber of Commerce cares deeply about climate change. I think we were one of the first chambers in the nation to kind of acknowledge that climate change is man-made and a critical problem for our economy, for our environment, for our quality of life. And then as we heard both of our speakers say, there's a lot coming down the pike. I think Keith listed off 6 things that the governor was trying to do with his proposal, and I ended up writing down about 12. So there's certainly a lot of opportunities for engagement, and my boss, Maud Dowdon, the president and CEO of the chamber, likes to say that the quickest way to irrelevancy is not taking a position in an important debate. And so the Chamber of Commerce really wants to be part of this debate, and we thank you all for coming, for engaging, for being part of this, and we'll see you at the next installment on June 9th.
Very good. Yeah. Hey, how you doing?